Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Vivian Ndegwa. Now, every year on the 21st of September, the world gets to commemorate the International Day of Peace, which is a day that has been set aside to strengthen the ideals of peace. And joining me in studio to talk about the significance of peace is a commissioner from the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, that is Honorable Engineer Philip Okunde. Engineer, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
I believe it must have been nostalgic for you while you were getting into KBC, having been once the CEO of this corporation. How was that?
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, good morning, viewers. Good morning, our good friends at the KBC. I remember many years back, I was appointed by the then president, the late President Daniel Arap Moi, and he asked me to head a committee which was called the Presidential Commission on the Voice of Kenya. At that time, the broadcasting entity in this country was the Voice of Kenya. And he said, look at it and tell me what we need to do in this changing world. And at that time, we had a very strong group of media people and then engineers as well. At that time, I was managing director of Kenya Ports Authority.
Yeah.
And when we came and we found that the Voice of Kenya was really losing ground, there was a big upsurge of need to privatize broadcasting. And there was a lot of pressure on the leadership at the time. But we also found that the Voice of Kenya really existed, but mainly was a big, I would say, propaganda machine for government, because they were mainly just full of Kenya News Agency. And they produce very good news, but mainly political news. And people didn't like it, so many people found it very difficult to advertise, tell their products through the media. So we decided as a final recommendation to recommend for the collapse of the Voice of Kenya. This was very difficult to sell. I was charged to go and talk to the president at that time and see if he would agree to collapsing, and then tell him what we want to do. Then what we recommended was that there will be a government entity which will be commercially run. It must be commercial in nature. It should produce some money to run it, plus also interventions or government funding. And that was the birth of the now KBC. But we found that in the old days, during the colonial days, there was Kenya Broadcasting Service, which was also basically a commercial venture sort of thing, but basically government. And that's how we formed it. And we went and convinced the president in the presentation, and he agreed. Fortunately, we did not, that would be thrown away. And then he said, oh, that's fine.
Yeah, and here we are now.
Here we are now.
All right, thank you for that history class. And now if we can get into the main business of the day, where we will be talking about peace as we commemorate the International Peace Day tomorrow, the 21st. From my point of view, peace means the absence of war and overall tranquility. I don't know what peace means to you.
Yeah, Vivian, peace is crucial for everything we do in life. In fact, even we would not be here if there wasn't peace.
True.
Even in the household, you require peace to be able to manage the affairs of your home. You require peace to do anything, to travel on the road, to do business, to whatever. And so we are a body that was crafted out of need for peace. If I may tell you, a little bit of the background of the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, we were created out of need for peace in this country. As you know, as a Kenyan, almost every election cycle, there's always violence coming forward. People are very much having difficulty in agreeing with one another. Siasa, siasa is just sihasa. It's not
sihasa.
No. And under those circumstances, you find that people just find it very easy to disagree. So in 2007, we had a general election. And when the results came out, people disputed the results. And out of this dispute, that brought a lot of fighting. And Kenyans fought all over, everywhere, tribe by tribe, ethnic areas, and so on. In fact, we have deaths of almost 600 people died. And more than 1,000 were completely, harmed and so on. So, what were athirika watu wengi sana. So, the world community, headed by the then Secretary General of the UN, Kofi Annan, he rallied local, regional leaders in Kenya, local leaders, the presidents, and he chose President of Ghana, John Kufuor, to come and head a team to investigate what's wrong with Kenya so that we can put Kenya back on track. And this is how this thing came about. In fact, their recommendation was that, look here, we formed what is called a National Dialogue and Reconciliation Agreement. The recommendations here, this agreement, we have found that we must do some things in order to have peace in Kenya. And they said, stop violence, Kenya, otherwise the whole international community will work against you. And second one is settle into a government of national unity, so that every community in Kenya can see some of their people inside that government machine. And that will make people happy. The third one is that settle people who have been affected by this violence. In other words, the IDPs, internally displaced persons. And the fourth one, he said, form what will forever be here to preach peace and discuss with people, a body that will deal with national cohesion, and a body that will also integrate the various elements that are in Kenya to make peace, and that was ourselves. And then they tabled this act, which is an act of parliament dealing with the National Dialogue and Reconciliation Agreement. And that's how we were formed. Act number 12 of 2008. So that's ourselves. Now we are dealing with this. What does it mean? The mandate is very wide. We have to create possibilities for people to dialogue. And that means the building peace. In fact, we must work on the building on an architecture of a building peace architecture in the whole country, so that everybody find a way to dialogue in order to find a solution that does not lead people into violence.
If I may ask, what would you point out as some of the issues that threaten peace in this country?
Well, basically land. People fight about properties, land. And secondly, in the most drier areas, which we'll talk about, like mostly dry areas in north of Kenya, the livestock is always looking for watering points. And that has caused an enormous amount of disagreements. So people steal livestock and whatnot, and this bring threats to peace, which has caused lots of wars, and many people have died because of this. And every Kenyan is hearing about this thing all the time. So our mandate, therefore, has to compass fostering national identity, their values, then mitigating ethno-political issues, because there are sort of political issues. Some of this lack of these properties, lack of values and so on, lack of so many things, they get into a political arena which gets people to fight and make sure the peace is not there. And ourselves now have to go into all this, check on discrimination, tribalism, racialism, and try to foster a national healing by dialoguing between these people when we have sensitized them over a number of issues that have caused this kind of possibilities to violence.
Yeah, and speaking of that, we have places in northeastern, if I could just point out Baringo, which is where you will be holding this year's celebration of International Peace Day. Places like Baringo, we've seen communities in constant feuds. They're always fighting. Maybe what is not being done, or what is NCIC doing to avert this situation?
Yeah, I would say Baringo is one. But I will tell you that we have chosen this year to go to the most affected county in this country, and that is Samburu. Samburu has experienced enormous drought, just like others in that region.
Yeah.
But there has been over 60% of thefts of cattle. There's a lot of thefts. And this means that people take arms and fight one another to recover the livestock which have been stolen. And we thought that we better celebrate this International Day of Peace there because that county is very badly affected. And as you have seen, many people are dying, Morans and whatnot. But basically it's because of lack of resources and lack of water, because watering points in Samburu, for example, are areas which cause people to disagree very easily. Somebody insists on a watering point for his livestock, and the other fellows insist on that way, and then there's always a fight. And we've chosen to go there and talk peace there, because today the global peace celebration is to commemorate, and with a theme that we have, which is action for peace, our ambition for the global goals. If we don't have peace, the global goals that anybody has, the world community has, will not be achieved unless we have peace.
Yeah.
Right now you have, even in Europe, you have Ukraine being at war with Russia, and that's affecting the whole country. The whole world is affected. Some people said that oil prices are going up because of Ukraine war. Now, I mean, many people in Kenya don't even know where Ukraine is, but the effects of disagreements there and the war which is there is affecting us, plus other places as well.
We've enjoyed stability as a country. What would you attribute to this?
Our stability, Kenyans, we have an attribute where a Kenyan is normally a peace-loving person. Very intelligent people, very good people, very understanding. They more or less, once you explain and understand what you want to do, Kenyans will largely agree with you without any problems. And all those are attributes that bring peace very easily indeed. And I think we are endowed with enormous amount of intelligence, enormous amount of hard-working culture. People work very hard and people respect one another, but nevertheless, we find ourselves drawn into areas where people don't agree with one another, because there's greed about wanting to have this more than the other. But otherwise, our job as NCIC is sensitizing people. We sensitize the youth, we sensitize the middle-aged people. We also sensitize government, those in authority, we talk with them. We even have what is called ethnic audit. So there we come to your organization and we talk with you and see who is employed, where, what position and so on, and where does he come from. The idea is to just tell you as a leader there that, all right, although this device you're running looks like this, here you need to adjust.
Yeah. Because
there's a law that nobody is allowed to hire more than 30% of one ethnic group. But things have, in the past, have happened where this is all over the place. But nevertheless, in time, as we embrace peace, as we embrace the idea that everybody else in this country has a chance to contribute, I think slowly these things will be moderated very well and will work out better for everybody else.
Okay. On that thought is where we'll take a short break, but we'll be back with this conversation.
KBC brings you children's programs at its very best. From preschoolers to the teens, featuring the very best of untapped talents, showcasing arts and crafts, music and poetry. We bring you the latest animations and teach the children how to do it.
Can you read the word with Happy Hippo?
Join us every Saturday from 7 a.m. and weekdays in the late afternoons as we bring you entertaining children programming on KBC Channel 1.
뻔히 죽었어. 나는 안전한 건가? 내 안전 보장할 수 있어? 걱정 마. 우리 뒤엔 국장님이 있어.
그 코러스 때문에 케이스 제약 주가가 완전 폭등이래. 연일 상한가. 내가 비자금이 있었으면 미리 사놓는 건데. 아주 좋아.
작전에 실패했어요.
Live from Broadcasting House, Nairobi, Kenya. This is KBC English Service.
Welcome to Beat Time Show, the very best of the 80s and 90s. Me, John Karani, JK.
Timeless music hits across the decades.
This is the place to be after you've had a tough day. Here we celebrate love and life.
Just watch.
The sound of KBC English Service.
I'm your host Caroline Wangishi, Carol Gatata Moshero.
My name is Geoffrey Mongai.
News, information and entertainment. KBC English Service, Kenya's official national radio.
Ikitoka nje hii gate, usifungulie mtu mwingine yoyote.
Ulitoka hapa kwangu na hasira. Hadi ukanivunjia paka mlango. Tena umerudi wewe na hasira. Nikueleweje mimi?
Achana na mimi.
Amefukuzwa nani? Amfukuzwa na babako. Kaeke begi ende jikoni ukapike.
Yaani mimi nitokako? Wewe unketi tu hapa. Alafu mimi ninge jikoni nikupikie. Twende.
Baba twende. Zito atakwenda kanijua mimi ni nani?
welcome back to the program. In studio with me is Engineer Philip Okundi, and he is here to talk to us about matters peace as we get to commemorate the International Peace Day tomorrow. Now, Engineer, you've cited tribalism as one of the threats to peace in this country. Maybe what is NCIC doing to ensure that this is not a cycle that keeps going on?
Yeah, I think in a very broad way, the answer is that we need to appreciate one another as part of us in Kenya, and we need to talk together to build one nation. If we do not do that, then it will be possible for us to fragment into pieces which can be ungovernable.
Yeah.
Just to give you what I cited earlier, last year, we were going into the general elections, and we know and we found out through research that each time Kenya is going for a general election, there's always approaches to a very, very, very violent kind of situation, which has happened so many times.
Yeah.
So we said that let us do a roadmap to a peaceful general election. And that was a program for a whole year. We sensitized everywhere we went. We talked to people, we said, look, let's have this time round a peaceful general election. Even if the results come out which we don't like, let us go through the legal means to make sure we don't fight. And somehow Kenyans were coming forward very well to accept this. We designed what was called a political decorum, a political peace charter, whereby whoever was leading a party which produces candidates, as well as those candidates, they will sign this charter such that they have a political decency, such that they don't utter words which bring people to disagree or people unhappy, and such that they become progressive in what they do. And they signed it, and we said, look, if we don't do this, then we will take legal means to try and explain what you did, and then you will be punished in some way or another. But at the same time, we said, even if you disagree, just go through the legal channels, go to court, and it will be done, and that's what has happened. I would say that largely, that thing helped a lot. It helped a lot, and I can say that we had an election which still there were disputes, like always in every election, but nevertheless, Kenyans did not come out to fight, to have violence because of the results that were disputed.
Which was a plus.
Yeah, that's a big plus. The second point is that we released as NCIC data throughout Kenya, mapping out hotspots in our country which are very, very vulnerable to disruption of peace. And we named them each and every one. And we said, everybody who's been named in this, please do your best to bring peace in whatever you do. Because the facts are there. And people who disputed, we gave them the facts. We gave them the facts because the administration on the ground, the county governments, they are on the ground, they know what is happening. Sometimes, you might say that it's peaceful, but people are corroborating or agitating. But the facts are that those people want positions. They utter some words inside, some there, which make people fight one another. So we exposed this. When we exposed this, it became clear that somebody has to do best to take their names out of that list where the hotspots were. So now we decided that now, after this election, which became quite peaceful, there was no violence, whatever the circumstances, we need now to go into what is called deepening peace and cohesion for prosperity of Kenya. So this we do with so many programs. We go out and we meet the various people from the lowest to the highest, and we talk with them and we tell them what we have found in their area that require to be addressed in order to create peace in the area.
Okay.
I think that's the little I can do, and I can tell you even more that when I mentioned Samburu, choosing Samburu to go and celebrate this question of global peace, we looked at what was going on. The place was mad with ethnic issues because of watering points, the livestock. People were looking for watering points for their pasture. They were looking for pasture, they were looking for water for their livestock, they are looking for water for themselves. So this caused a lot of trouble because these things were scarce because there was too much drought. And therefore, for us to go there and tell them and talk about this, and they will appreciate what is happening.
Yeah. Okay. If there's an area that I feel like should really be looked at, has to be on social media, because that is where we see people just spewing words left, right, and center. Probably, are there policies set in place to ensure that, the space that is social media is also looked upon when it comes to, matters peace? Because I feel like that's a dangerous place.
Thank you very much. I think in our act, there is what is called hate speech. And hate speech has resulted in even the First World War, the Second World War, they were a product of hate speech. Even now, amidst ourselves here, there is hate speech. As a politician, because I've been a politician, there is chances that you'll have a hate speech against your opponent. And you may say words like, for example, when they say, look here, you people, why do you allow these people to come here? Hii madoadoa inakuja kati yenu, inaleta shida kwa siasa yetu. Hii nini, all kinds of things. They call you all kinds of names. And when they go to vernacular, they use a vernacular which is understood by your audience, but the other people don't know. Now, this now builds up a situation of a hate speech, which can lead to violence, very serious violence. If you abuse somebody and you call him this or that, then you are telling the other people who are with him or her to react, and you also react, and this causes this kind of thing. Now, I would say that part of our problem in Kenya, and I like to just challenge you if you allow me.
Please do.
I think part of the mistake is you people,
You people being us as the media?
You people, the media. The media, do something about this. If you could have, even in the newspapers, daily newspapers, even a daily broadcast, have something about peace. Talk about peace and put an example where peace has helped wherever, and that people can follow it. But what you will find in Kenyan media reports is more of a political situation where somebody is disagreeing with somebody. If there's disagreement, that's news. If there's an agreement which is good, that's not news. You like today, there would have been a kind of, you read about peace, what's going on about peace. Even these meetings going on about UN now, they're talking about peace. You go to regional meetings, you go about peace. They talk about economics. No economic progress will take place without peace being embraced.
That is true.
So you people, you also try and be smart enough on that line. You will help us a lot.
Challenge taken.
Yeah.
It's definitely taken. We saw yesterday President Biden applauding the efforts of our president in just trying to promote peace not only in the region but also in faraway lands like Haiti, where we know that they are going through some instability when it comes to peace. Probably what is our role as a country generally in promoting world peace?
Well, our job is to embrace that recognition. We embrace that recognition a lot, and we use this as an example wherever we are doing, whatever we are doing. Like now, we are celebrating this action for peace, which the theme is action for peace. Our ambition for the global goals. So the global goals, like that one which the President of the United States talked about, is looking at a global goal to have a peace globally.
Yeah.
And here, Kenya had the President had allowed, who is the Commander-in-Chief, had allowed his troops to go and help settle some peace in Haiti. Now that is an aspect which has been recognized, which I think is very good.
Yeah.
Very good, and we embrace that a lot. Now, our job now is just to see if globally people talk about peace, why don't we ourselves become so peaceful that whatever the attributes people talk about Kenya is seen exactly how we behave, how we do things. You know, if we knew that there has to be peace, our elections will not be violent, will not be such that people you find they're beaten, they're whatnot, you know. Like when we go to elections, you find that somebody you recruit to become your what is it? The youths. Huh? They tell you how many people they are beaten, you know. And
it's unfortunate.
I laugh because I know it is happening. But if people would not fight, you go on issues. I want to be elected on the following issues. These are issues I want to lead you, get you to farm, get you to use money properly, get you to see that even if there is a crisis, like you have a crisis globally of a certain kind, it doesn't come and affect our people adversely. That's why I have to be there to let you know what to do. Yeah. But after all, and above all, there must be a peace in this process. Then I think we should be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What maybe is our individual role as citizens of this country to ensure that peace prevails? What role do we have?
I think your role as individuals is embrace one another. See to it that, like in the old days, a neighbor would give you part of his farm to farm. And then you'd harvest, and that harvest can be shared amongst you people. And secondly, help one another and appreciate diversity. In other words, some people are not well endowed like maybe others. So appreciate them, they're part and parcel of you. So even if you're hiring people, have some idea that everybody else in Kenya needs a place to survive and do well. And that even with their work, the condition of their work should be such that it is habitable to everybody else. The other role is not to push people to hate one another. The hate speeches, it is more pronounced when people use hate speech using a language which is understood by his or her audience, but basically in their vernacular language. But it means a lot in the other people who don't understand. So they think that it is housed within their own place, but it's not necessarily so. So as individuals, let us bear in mind that at the end of the day, it's Kenya that matters because it is our country. And that we should do our best to ensure that we peacefully live with one another and also appreciate the problems. Like the people in the north, cattle after cattle, they have died. And the places are so dry. You look at some places in Baringo, they are so dry that you dare not walk there because the cracks are very big. And so these weather conditions are bad. And as a result, try and understand their problem because they're looking for grazing land, they're looking for watering point, they're looking for, and see how best you can mitigate the situation so that everybody else ends up better than if others are beaten and killed.
Okay.
The other aspect I want to say, at the moment, the NCIC is doing lots of meetings with the county of Kisumu, both from the administration and from the county government. At the same time, doing the same thing with the county of Kericho. And at the same time, doing the same thing with the county of Nandi and also with Vihiga. these are counties which are bordering with Kisumu. But we found that violence flared up at Sondu Market. What they're looking for there is just the same revenues, you know. Kericho County wants our revenues, which is levied at the market. Kisumu County wants the same. So they're saying, you know, this place where people are meeting, because people are meeting here, different people from Kisii, from Kericho, from Kisumu, from Nandi, and you know, people are meeting there, all kinds of, because it's a marketplace, an interchange place. Eventually it becomes maybe like a town, which is a cosmopolitan place. But if we go there with violence, where some people are losing their lives, at the moment, the loss of lives is quite a bit. That we are dialoguing, I think we are almost reaching a very good point, where now we are going to meet finally and agree a peace protocol. Now, until that happens, it is very difficult to read. I give an example, a place like called a market between Kisumu and Vihiga. It's called Maragoli or something. It's called Maragoli. There you go in the market, you find wares being sold by people speaking Luya, and the other side people speaking Nandi, the other side people speaking Luo, and the other side whatever. But when you talk to any one of them, they speak all these languages very happily. So you can't tell whom you are dealing with, and therefore there's always peace in that place. That's a culture that we want to make sure happens elsewhere.
Yeah.
Then we had also, as NCIC, we found that between Nandi County and Kakamega County, there always was war. So between them, it's a very rich land bordering a place called Tobolwa. And you ask the Nandi people, they say, oh, our land goes all the way to Kakamega. When you tell the Kakamega guys, all my land, all the way to Kapsabet. So, you know, they are fighting all the time. So nobody could do any meaningful development in that particular. We met for about 3-4 weeks, and they all understood, and they managed now to talk to one another. Okay. So we decided that in these same communities, we will have to build common schools, common road, common market, such that everybody can use that place because they belong to the same place. And now this seems to be good. Now, if we can replicate this in various places in Kenya, where we have disruption to peace, I think that that is a way forward. But we need the media to help us here. Don't just report that occasion only and then you disappear. When you disappear is when these ideas, you just disappear.
Yeah, it should be a regular thing.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be wrong for us to finish this discussion without talking about the isolated cases of terrorism that we have experienced in the country over the years. Maybe what is being done to ensure that our borders remain secured. And I don't know if you will correct me in this if I'm wrong. I don't know if the crash that happened yesterday in Lamu is a terrorist attack. I'm not sure. You can just shed light on that as you tell me what is being done to ensure that our borders remain secured.
I know that the helicopter, which was carrying our defense people coming from Somali side towards Kenya, they crashed. And I think we lost something like 12 lives. It's very sad indeed.
Yeah.
But the idea of maintaining peace along the borders is one aspect and a very key assignment to government. And the government is dealing with that in a very thorough way. We, as a commission, we are called upon, and we do, to supply whatever information and whatever activities we need to say along our borders, wherever the borders are, what should happen. It's a big task. In fact, the Ministry of Internal Security is the one where our line ministry, and we are very much involved in this kind of discussion. But you can see that unless there is peace in all the areas of our activities, we will not go very far. will not even farm, will not even sell our products, will not even import products and bring them along to our people.
I will now allow you to tell us a bit of the activities that will be taking place tomorrow as we commemorate this day, as you'll be doing that in Samburu.
Well, in Samburu, we are going to meet with the leaders, the political leaders, and the elders of the area, and the youth, and the schools, and the churches. We will meet, and then we shall demonstrate a number of activities, maybe a walk for peace we shall have. There will also be certain traditional enjoyment that people can have in Samburu tomorrow. So it's going to be quite a day. It's going to be quite a day. There's a whole range of activities which I don't think we can read all of them here.
Okay.
But the whole idea is to work for peace and announce peace, announce where agreements have been agreed, because there's a lot of agreement. We have what is called a Maya Triangle. That is the Turkana, the Samburus, there is also the Isiolo people. So that triangle alone, we have agreed how to make peace in that place. You know, the Samburu, for example, they have always been having the Samburus and the Turkanas. There's always a fight. And when you look at the fight, it is about watering points, about the pastures for the livestock, and about thefts of the livestock which can't be recovered. And all this put together, they amount to disruption, very major disruption of peace. It means that whatever is voted to go to that county, to build the county, very little of it will work, because people are afraid to create those assets that can grow other incomes to the country. And therefore, all this we shall talk about when we are there.
All right. Thank you so much, Engineer Philip, for coming to the program, and thank you so much for shedding light on peace, which is an integral part in any society. All right. This is where... You're welcome. This is where Good Morning Kenya ends. Thank you so much for tuning in. We now head straight to the Senate for the proceedings. My name is Vivian Ndegwa. See you next time.